Good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching us from a different time zone, good morning or good evening. And my name is Marilyn, at least for those who have not met us or joined us in this intervention. I'm the CEO and founder of Customized Training Solutions, or CTS, and we are passionate about helping leaders, organizations, who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive in all aspects by co creating customized programs with our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony Mobile, PruLife UK, Ayala Group, Chevron, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, and Shell, to name a few. And the reason why we are organizing several interventions, including this interview, is because we would like to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant or adapt to this what we call next normal, new normal, whatever you want to call this. Those who find this it's stressful to lead and ensure performance of a remote team, or probably now more of a hybrid team, and those who are afraid that they can't keep their business or their team. And so, to be able to stay relevant and continue to lead effectively in any situation, do join us in several interventions that we organize for you. And today, it's my great pleasure to introduce our leader for the day. Harvey Campos holds a master's degree in public administration in the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy in National University of Singapore. He is internationally certified Neuro-Semantics Trainer and a certified coach for positive intelligence and meta coaching system. As a president and CEO of Access Asia, he helps he helped and continues to help C-suites executives and business owners level up themselves and their teams towards peak performance. And without so much further ado, I'd like to invite Harvey in this virtual stage. Hi, Harvey.
Hi, Maryland. Hi to your guests from all over the world. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for taking time to um, spend your precious time with us, I would say. And for I'm so excited, I would say. I'm so excited to learn and hear from you what you can share and what we can add value through our to our audience through this conversation. And as usual, I will ask the 8 questions I have, mainly the first 3 questions to really hear like from which perspective are you coming from, and then the next 3 questions I would say would always I would say will be the meaty or juicy part of the
Hmm.
conversation.
Okay.
And
Yes.
the last 2 questions are very open questions, and I would say very interesting, which I would always refer to as the Miss Universe questions. So
Okay.
yeah, let's
What about
get
Mr.
started.
Universe?
Mr. Universe for this in this case. So yeah, to get started, I'd like to hear from you, and please do share with us your leadership experiences. If you have like a favorite influencer um,
Hmm. Okay.
that y- brought you where you are now, and of course, if you have a favorite leadership style as well that you'd like to share with us, please feel free to share.
Yes. Thanks, Maryland, for inviting me here. And I'm so excited to share with you my experiences, even stories that might be helpful for your viewers or listeners. You know, Marilyn, my story dates back when I was still a little boy. No,
Wow.
I was a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout at grade school and high school. So even at an early age, diba, it's helpful for me to be able to recognize how I was raised up as a leader, even as a small child. And of course, in Boy Scout, many people would know that you have to be prepared. You know? And it's so interesting that that same motto or slogan is still holds true today. Be prepared. Okay? So I grew up in high school learning the good values, being raised up in a Salesian school and some people from the La Salle school, and now I'm serving in the Ateneo school. So
Wow.
a whole range of uh, Christian organizations and universities. So I believe in the values of the Christian values, spirituality, and integrating it in one's life. And I also believe that the fullness of life is what we want to have attained in our life together. So I also took up master's degree in University of Singapore, and that's another story. It's really coming from my experience of being able to relate with different people from different countries. So even while I was a Boy Scout, I really like going to campings, jamborees. So even as a little child, I already got excited meeting people from different countries. So that in a way instilled my desire to develop my character, my competence, and then the importance of community. So those three C's were the things that really developed me through the years, from a little child to a teenager. Now that I am in my senior years, I'm 62 now, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I do believe that those values are still important. The character development, the competence, the skills that I'll be able to develop, and then the community aspect of working together with other people, even with diverse background and culture. So that in a nutshell was my experience as a leader.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I'm really glad to hear that you've learned leadership since you were a small boy, as you've mentioned, from Boy Scout to the schools that you've been to. And I'm actually sharing and summarizing here the experience which you've mentioned develop you as a leader, from character to competencies and community. And I really love that you've shared that three C's, because again, for me, it's always starting with yourself, right?
Yes.
When you say character development, it's all about self leadership, it's all about the mindset, it's all about your attitude and your character, that gives you also the perspective on how should I respond to others, right? What competencies do I need so that I can evolve, so that I can thrive. And in the end, you've mentioned community, which is I'm highly it's in alignment with what I wanted to do as well, in my business. It's really like about working together, right?
Hmm.
And
Yes.
I'm really glad that we've been hearing a lot of. I remember this conversation I had with another leader. She's based in the U.S., but she's from Italy, and both of us have small children, so we were
Okay.
talking about Paw Patrol, and we can be heroes and all those movies, and
Yes.
that our children are watching, and it's really good. Like, we've noticed the transition between how leadership is
Hmm.
during our
Yes.
generation, where it's who's the strongest, who's the smartest, and
Hmm.
who's leading this, as against to what the children are seeing now, which is more how
Hmm.
can we leverage on each other's strength. It doesn't matter who's the strongest, it doesn't
Hmm.
matter who's the smartest, but it's
Hmm.
actually how can we leverage on each other's strengths to actually create something beautiful, something amazing, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's marvelous, Marilyn. It reminds me of the Avengers, the Marvel superheroes. It used to be just individual superheroes. When I was still young, I would
exactly.
look at Superman, Batman, although Robin is still part of it. And
Mhm.
it's been lately that they developed the importance of community, working together to fight a common enemy, to build up the
Mhm.
people that they are serving, and to be of value to others.
True, true. And so, having said that, like, we're just getting started, and yet we're so excited with all these stories already. But, having said that, from your experience that you've shared with us, what is leadership for you?
Oh, that's a very good question. And a simple answer would be I took this from adapted this from John Maxwell. And he says that leadership is the ability to add value to others
Wow.
who can turn around and multiply that value to other people. So if I'm able to add value to somebody, I want to make that somebody turn around and multiply that value to others. And that, for me, that's leadership. And together with that ability to add value, I also believe in servant leadership, or what we call steward leadership. And I also believe that if you are able to serve others, that's where your greatness really comes as a leader. The better you serve others, the better your leadership comes out,
Yes.
especially when you have different people from different backgrounds to be
Mm-hmm.
able to serve the common value, a common goal together to move forward with synergy.
Wow, that's really beautiful. You made it sound really simple for us. And again, like what we both do, right? We are so huge when it comes to adding value to others. And in fact, this interview is really so much about really hoping to add value and inspiring or motivating other leaders from around the globe
Yes.
to be able to like be reminded of what really leadership is and how they can actually apply it through the stories and conversations that we have from our experiences. So I really appreciate that. And in my introduction earlier, I've mentioned about next normal, new normal, hybrid setting. And
Yes.
so I'm curious to know with what we have been through for the last 2.5 years, right? How would you define and describe the next normal?
Mhm. That's a very good question, Marilyn. And
Thank
even in my work today, with people from Ateneo and upcoming doctors, I'm also a formation mentor and coach for them, so that someday they become good doctors, serving other people in the field of medicine and public health. We do believe in the existence of the VUCA world. I think this has
Yes.
been popular term. VUCA meanings V for volatile,
Mhm.
yeah, U for uncertain, C for complex, and A for ambiguous. So even up to this point in time, the VUCA world is still ongoing. And if we're going to handle the world today, it's important for us to handle those VUCA aspects of the world.
Yes.
Maybe I must be jumping the gun. Uh, one way to handle that is to have better vision for the volatile, better understanding of others, and then better clarity of vision of things, or better clarity in communication,
Mhm.
and then better agility. So to counter the VUCA negative, we also have the VUCA positive, so that a person can handle the VUCA world with a more positive outlook. So even
Wow.
even as a Boy Scout, we're challenged with many things, and instead of looking things as a problem, we look at them as challenges to hurdle.
Mhm.
And I really love the superheroes. You know, when they have the more difficult the problem, oh, the more exciting the movie would come out, right? And
Yes.
I still remember we do have problems in the camp when we don't have the luxury of technology, and we're just in the woods, in the forest. And how can we survive 3 days in this forest? And our Boy Scout skills help us to train ourselves to be resilient, to be able to improvise different
Mhm.
things so we can survive and even thrive. So having the mentality of a VUCA world and changing that negative mindset to a more positive mindset, it creates a better formation of character. And then because you develop the ability to change the negative thoughts to a more positive thought, and it also develops your competence because you're able to adapt using the agility. People can see what are the skills needed so I could be of service to others. So I adapt. Even in my own profession, I normally do face to face. But look at us now. No? We're in two different countries and still communicate. And I've learned how to use the Zoom and online technology. And I really appreciate the value of adapting and be able to be agile in terms of reaching out in our service to others.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And again, it's not really so much about like the negativity around us. Not,
Mhm.
I mean, it's a reality that we have to face the VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, like what you mentioned. But again, like what you mentioned, it's really like turning around the negative effects of VUCA to a
Yes,
positive mindset in order to be able to handle that. Because in every challenge that we face, we're fortunate that we can also create an opportunity out of this, right?
that's right.
And
Yes.
that's true for even in our industry, where like at first we do, like, I mean, we're both doing a lot of things on a face-to-face level or on a
Mhm.
live basis. But I mean, this gave us an opportunity. The recent the existing pandemic, not recent, but the existing pandemic actually gave us an opportunity to, like, how can we continue to add value despite the situation? How can we stay safe and keep our clients safe, despite of like the situation? And we do our best to be able to be adaptive and agile,
Mhm. Yeah.
and because we are also clear in like how we wanted to add value as well to our customers, right? So like what we can do, what can we continue to do, and what should we change in order to be able to continue to add value to our customers, to our clients, right? So,
Mhm.
and again, that's an opportunity of like changing the negative to the positive mindset in order to handle VUCA. So I really appreciate that. And it's like when you were saying that, like, yeah. So you can actually, like, I've been always hearing VUCA a lot, but I've never heard
Mhm.
like turning it around, that there's such thing as negative and positive VUCA, which I
Right.
only heard from you. So I really
Mhm.
appreciate that. So, having said that, for sure, it's like you've mentioned, like, oh, in our Boy Scout days, in our, so that means like this VUCA or these uncertainties that we face now has been around since day one, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Since you're small, since you're a small boy. So from your experience, I mean, you worked in a corporate, as a corporate leader, as well as in your own businesses before as an entrepreneur, and also now working with corporate leaders or business owners as well.
Mhm.
So what would you say would be the top three problems that they normally face?
Yes. I do believe, Marilyn, that in addition to the corporate leaders in
Mm-hmm.
organization, I've worked also with the government.
Oh,
If you're familiar with the Department of Public Works and Highways
yes,
in
I
the
have friends
Philippines,
there.
DPWH, um, we are faced with a challenge. In 2009, the survey showed in Asia Pulse Asia that the DPWH, the Department of Public Works, was one of the most corrupt
Wow.
corrupt agency in
Mhm,
the Philippines. And
mhm,
in 2014, when I came to the Philippines after my stint in Singapore as Masters in Public Administration, I was asked to help out in the value formation.
mhm.
And for me, negative thoughts start coming. Oh, this won't happen. It won't be possible. And then that, in a way, challenged my mindset of how can I change my mindset? Because if in my inner game, I'm already losing, I've lost the battle. So
True.
applying the principle of shifting from a negative mindset, taking myself into account, meditating, and using the principles of clear vision, I began to experience myself. What would it be like if people live a life of integrity, of transparency, of accountability, and take on the negative emotion of anxiety, uncertainty, to a more clarity in communicating to others
Mhm,
the
mhm,
value of integrity. So in 2014, together with the leadership of Rogelio Sigson. He's one of my models of government leadership,
mhm,
and you might be hearing about him. Together with him and some members of the team, we were able to change from 2014 to 2016 the mindset of the people working in DPWH from a negative, corrupt perspective to a more integrity, transparency, and of service to the public. it turned around because in 2016, the Philippines, headed by Pinoy Aquino, recognized the transition, the transformation that happened
Mhm.
in 2014, actually 2009,
Mhm.
2014, and 2016, the transition from a most corrupt agency to the most well-governed agency in the Philippines in 2016. So
Wow.
I do believe the power of shifting the mindset with the leaders on top and with the team and community working together, it can happen. So I do believe the importance of the inner game, transforming our minds from negative to positive, and having a community to create an environment, a culture of transparency, of excellence, and moving forward together.
Mhm.
So that story in alone was an inspiring thing for me. So I share this also to the corporate world, and for them to be able to shift from a negative mindset. And I discovered that even in their own personal lives, aside from the corporate boardroom, they
Mhm.
also have negative thoughts in terms of their families, their loved ones. Their negative thoughts tend to create a lot of doubts, a lot of hatred, a lot of
Mhm.
anxiety and stress. And I began to see, oh, it's common wherever you are, whether in the government, in the corporate, everybody experience a negative mindset. And it's
True.
our challenge to shift that to a more positive mindset and bring about change in society, which begins from our inner self. Does that make sense so far?
Definitely. I mean, I would say, if I ask you the top problem, it's around value formation, which is you've mentioned shifting from a negative to a positive mindset, right? I would say that it's really like a challenge for most of us, because it's a common thing that we really face, right?
That's right.
Like, it's so easy for our brain to
Yes.
really, like, think of the negative experiences and things
Mhm.
that we have in life. And so obviously this is really a challenge, but I'm really glad to hear and to be reminded that we can actually shift that at any time we want. And it takes a lot of inner work, like what you've
Mhm.
mentioned, and I'm in that journey, in fact, of
Yeah.
really like self mastery, self love, and really like, um how can I catch myself when I'm starting to like play that negative pattern again, so that
That's right.
I just focus. It's so easy to say that, why don't you focus on the things that you want, that you love to do, right? But at the same time, when we're left alone, or even when with other people, our brain would start to think about the negative experiences or the negative things that we actually don't want to have in life, and yet
Yes. Hmm.
we keep on thinking about that. So, and
Yeah.
you've mentioned, am I right to say that, on top of value formation, you've mentioned around having transparency within the organization and building community? Are
Yes.
those the top problems that you've shared with us? Just
That's right.
making
And
sure
and,
I
and in
got it
between that is the competency,
right.
the competency of having to shift your mindset to positive and then applying what needs to be done with a focused action or behavior. And it
Yes,
takes a lot of skills to be able to develop and apply that and implement those changes, both in the
exactly.
government and the corporate setting. Yeah.
Exactly. And because there's a lot of people that gets involved who actually have different experiences, perspective,
Yeah.
and way of handling, or way of addressing that issue of negativity and shifting that to positivity. So imagine even just one person, I alone, when I do my best to work on or shift my mood, myself, or my thinking from negative to positive, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of um,
Yeah.
like meditation, like what you've mentioned, and work, internal work, inner work, that I have to do. Some more if, like, other people who are not even willing to do it, right?
Yes, yes.
That's
And I
another thing.
noticed, Marilyn, I noticed in your previous interview, you were sharing that you had difficulty coming out to the public in interviewing. And
Yes.
and you're able to conquer that fear. Wow. And look at you now. You're able to interview people from different parts of the world, and I'm really impressed by the way you're able to come out from your negative self of keeping to yourself and blooming and sharing your uh, your capacity to be able to serve others. So,
Yes, thank you, thank you. Sometimes, you just have to get out of your comfort
yeah.
zone to be able
Mhm.
to also continue to add value to others. Because that's always like when I've studied like several things like Chimen. I don't know if you've heard of Chimen. It's actually under I Ching, which is an ancient study um,
Mm.
in China. And Chimen is actually a uh, war kind of tool for you to be able. But from my understanding and experience using that, it's really about the subconscious. It's
Mhm,
really
mhm.
about handling your subconscious a lot rather than anything else.
Yes. And we use the word inner game as a
Yes.
term which many people in the corporate world would associate, because the
Mhm.
corporate executives really love sports and competition. So if
Yes.
you're able to change your inner game for victory
Mm-hmm.
than being a victim, you know, you're able to shift your mind so that the victory is exemplified in your skills, and
Right.
you attract a community of people who would support you and be part of your team to attain that goal that is clear for you.
Yes, very true. And I mean, we've discussed about the top problems about shifting the negative to positive mindset, to transparency and building community. But of course, we will not leave them with just the problem. And this, of course, although we've also shared with them how they can do that already. But what would you say would be the important leadership capabilities and skills that they must have in the next normal to continue to lead effectively? I believe that you've mentioned a few already earlier. So, but if there's anything that you'd like to add, or if you'd like to summarize like
Mhm.
this capabilities and skill, please do so.
Yes, I think in the there's so many skills that can be used. So
Mm-hmm.
we are applying the VUCA
Mm-hmm.
with better vision. If you're able to see clearly, even amidst the volatile world, and to
Mm-hmm.
see why you are there, why are you in business, why are you in the government, and to see the purpose and meaning. It
Mm-hmm.
gives clarity to why you're there. The
Mm-hmm.
power of why creates your vision to be more crystal clear. So that skill is a very important thing to do. The other
Mm-hmm.
skill is to be able to develop your competence. So the competence of applying your thoughts and then using those thoughts in day-to-day situations.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you translate that in financial terms? How would you translate that in materials that you're going to use for your production? How do you translate that to your HR? And how do you translate that in legal matters? So
Mm-hmm.
those are the skills. And if you realize that not everybody has all the skills, that's where the competency is more of being aware what are needed in the situation. And
Mm-hmm.
as a CEO or as a COO, you will be able to understand that there are different factors or different facets of a project.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the importance of culture and community. We're in the silo. I think the silo mentality, especially in government, they
Very
think of their
common.
own departments and they don't think about the common good. Uh, I, I I really see the value of the Singaporeans when I was there, to see the value of the whole nation as one. They're not close to each other. They share their ideas, they share their expertise, and they build a culture of community that would really build up excellence among them. And they reward excellence for that. So I
And
think, yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
sorry, and I believe that's kind of common to most organization, whether government or private and public, right? There's always silos, because I think like not a lot of people would um see the bigger picture, or otherwise like, oh, they're so focused on, oh, this is my task, this is my role, um without really like understanding like, oh, okay, this role actually um is contributing to
Mhm.
the whole vision, the whole goal, and the whole when you're back of the house, you seldom like meet with clients, and yet the experience that I mean, I'm a hotelier by profession and training, so I'm giving that as an example, right? When
Mhm.
you're back at the back of the house, like doing housekeeping and all those stuff, so you don't really get to have a contact with your customer, right? But
Mhm.
then at the same time, the experience of the what you have done or what you do in your role actually has a great impact in the experience that you actually provide to your clients, right? So sorry
Yes.
to cut you there, and
Yes.
and your
Yeah,
last.
that's right. Because the hotel is a very important industry of service, and most people only see the front end, not
Yes,
realizing that the secret of the good front end is a good back end, and
true.
and as people have a good back end, they create a better service to others.
Exactly, right.
And it's
So
applicable
sorry.
even to other industries, not just for the
True.
hotel. It's also
Exactly.
applicable in IT, in the government, because some
True.
people only see the what's in the news. They don't
Right.
under they don't see what's happening behind the scenes in the offices, working
Exactly.
their butts off to fulfill a particular project. So
Yes, yes, because the whole experience is dependent on the entire like ecosystem within the organization, right?
yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
So I think I've missed like your third one. You've mentioned the first is of course starting with your why or your purpose. Second one is of course what we both like inspire our customers to do is developing their competencies, and the
Yes.
last one is.
Building community. So it's still
Mm,
again the three C's: the importance of character, competence, and community. If you believe that it takes a village to raise up a child,
true.
like
Mhm.
me, a Boy Scout, it takes a community to raise up good corporations and a good government. So
Mhm.
if we take responsibilities from all walks of life and we are able to build up on each other, it creates a better culture of excellence, service, integrity, and all those values that really comes in from your character, from your competence, and from your
Mhm.
culture as a community. So community building is really important. So conflict management, communication, and how to listen is also another skill that is important. That's why I'm into coaching.
Mhm.
Many of the executives I coach, uh, interestingly enough, listening is one of their soft spot that they want to develop. They're used to speaking and telling people what to do, and to
Yes.
listen is one of their challenging points.
True. And I think that's a challenge for most people. And I'm really grateful that I get to discover about this clubhouse, right? Where you have to listen because nobody can listen to anyone if everybody's speaking, right?
That's
Because
right.
it's an audio only application. So
Mhm.
it really like reminded us. I think it was only built during the pandemic as well, and that's really a good reminder for us how we need, and part of communication is actually listening, right?
That's right. Yes. And as
Yeah.
we listen, what I learned also in positive intelligence is
Hmm.
not just to listen for the data or
Hmm.
information. It's
Yes.
also good to listen for the energy, for the
Yes.
emotions,
Yes.
for the experience of the person while
Right.
talking or communicating with
Yes.
that person.
The
So
nonverbal.
yeah, yes.
Which is
And
of
the
course.
inner game of the person. What's
Right.
going on with the mind of the person that you're talking
Yes.
to? Yeah.
Although it's not easy online, but there's a way,
Yes.
especially if you really learn and you really know how to communicate or listen to others. But in person, of course, it's easier to do so, right? And before I ask you the next question, I'd like to thank Sophia, Aurora, and William for giving us the love and likes. Thank you so much for
Wow.
joining us live. And for
Yeah.
those who are watching us live via YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, please do share your comments, your questions. This is not just a conversation between Harvey and me. You can join us in this conversation if you wish. Um, you can ask questions, you can give your comments, or probably like, so you remember your like takeaway from this conversation or this interview, please put it in the comments as well. So it's an invitation to everyone to join us in this conversation. Yeah. So we might be missing some, some important things. So please do join us and remind us if there's anything that we're missing out as well. So yeah. So again, it's back to three C's, like what you've mentioned, in terms of building those competencies or capabilities and skills as a leader in order to thrive. So thank you so much for summarizing that beautifully for us, Harvey. And that leads me
You're
to my
welcome.
next question. This is kind of complicated according to most or to some of the people I interviewed, but I guess it's all about highlighting which you want or which you haven't covered in the previous question. So, what do you believe is the role of learning, leadership, and transformation in order to thrive in the next normal?
Yes, that's a very good question. And the role is very important. A simple answer. If you don't learn continuously, you'll be like a dinosaur and you go extinct. No?
True.
So learning is a very important character trait. The ability to learn and to create opportunity to be of service to others from what you've learned. So it's not just learning downloads,
Yes.
learning created to transform you and how to be of service to others.
Mhm.
So that in a way is a very important thing. And I also believe that when you learn, there are many ways to learn. So before I thought just reading the book is a way of learning. No?
Yes.
Uh, when I was in Singapore taking up my master's, I discovered that when I listened to the lecture that I recorded while walking in the park, the beautiful parks of Singapore, the botanical garden, I feel the energy and the vibrancy of the topic of public administration, seeing before me the beauty of Singapore, it creates a certain excitement. So the learning aspect brings flesh to what I'm reading in the books or looking at the internet. So learning has to be experiential. So if you're able
True.
to read and then try to hear yourself reading it or try to do other things that would exemplify the understanding of what you've learned, that would be a very good thing. Another aspect of learning is integrating it into
Mm-hmm.
your life. So like me as a Boy Scout, be prepared. Even up to this point in time, I think about how to be prepared for whatever situation, whether pandemic or a promotion or a project. It's also good to be prepared. Now, sometimes we are not prepared completely, perfectly. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of the attitude to be of service. So again, the character comes in. I'm here as a servant leader. How can I serve you? If I'm falling short, how can I learn to improve my competence? Or if I'm not competent enough, or I need somebody else. So the community aspect
Mm-hmm.
comes in. So I know somebody from Singapore. Marilyn is a good person in hotel. Why don't you get her instead of me? No? I'd like to recommend Marilyn in terms of serving in the hotel. I could be part of the team building aspect, and we can work together to expand our boundaries and territories. So there again, there's this importance of putting together with your character, competence, and community. So
Wow.
leadership really connects to learning. So learning, leadership, and then as you learn and as you lead other people, because you are communicating it with other people with the culture of
Mm-hmm.
community, then the
Mm-hmm.
transformation can happen. So again, the transformation begins from your inner self. So the inner game
Mm-hmm.
was what you said, Maryland, the
Mm-hmm.
subconscious or even the
Yeah.
unconscious to bring about to consciousness. It's self actualizing what has been inside you already from the very beginning that you were created. So if you're able to tap into that inner strength, your inner essence, and bring it out, wow, what would be a beautiful world it will be.
Exactly. And that's what we should aim for, right?
Yeah,
Before I proceed with my comment, probably I'll just flash the comment from Moses Collins. Thank you for joining us. This is him. Is he's coming from LinkedIn? He's watching us
Oh,
from LinkedIn because
Moses.
right now we're streaming this in Facebook and in YouTube as well as in LinkedIn. So most are watching us from Facebook. And a few from YouTube, and he's joining us from LinkedIn. So his comment is, great to be part of your program. Your conversation is always very informative. Thank you so much for that, Moses, and for
Yeah.
always like um, supporting us. And his comment here is that leadership is very important, and we need to have a very good balance between the management and the fellow employees. A good leader has to have a courage to take risk. The good leader need to be very informative. Thank you. And
Yes.
another one from him as well. Marilyn has always brought great people into this program. Harvey Campos is one of the great person. Thanks for sharing your beautiful
Oh, thank
insight.
you, Moses.
Thank you so much, Moses, for your kind words and for your support to Harvey and me. So we really appreciate you not only joining us, but giving your generous comments to us. So I appreciate that. We appreciate that, in fact. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, my comment is around the what you've shared around learning, leadership, and transformation. You've made mention of around a lot of on inner work, on the importance of learning, and you've also mentioned the importance of integration of learning, and that's the reason why we've been always in touch and hoping to add value together to our clients, because we both believe in coaching and integration of the learning, because we've always heard that knowledge is power, but actually it's only powerful if it's applied.
That's right.
So what you've mentioned around experience about integrating it is really important. That's the reason why it I said earlier that it's really like a blessing for me, or an opportunity for me, that I was able to experiment a lot during the last 2 years, where
Hmm.
I've used gamification as part of our services or solutions, because it's really a safe space for our customers to apply what is learned and to
Hmm.
reflect on, okay, based on this experience or the game, how we play the game, how can we actually improve and how can we bring this in business life or in the workplace, which is really like not only very experiential and
Hmm. Yes.
application based, but also it's a safe space for them to really realize like, okay, we want this better. So and because it came from them, so the
Hmm.
accountability is higher as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And of course when it comes to coaching, it's really more of like, how can we reflect this in such a way that, of course the privacy or the sometimes the ego gets in the way, but of course if it's a one-on-one conversation with a coach, it's really how you can customize, like from like your experience, and what's your blind spot which you don't normally see
Hmm.
as well. So the
Yeah.
coach can actually guide you on the how to's, how you can
Hmm.
apply it, and as well as how can you customize it to your needs, especially for executive level, where training is really like not so much of a common thing that they do because of their
Hmm.
experience and their knowledge already. So
Yeah.
I think for executive level coaching will be the best way to go for them to see their blind spot, and again like what you've mentioned, in what you do, really like even going to their peak performance and to higher
Yes. Hmm.
potential, right? And
That's
it doesn't come by age
right.
either. Yeah, you can do
Yes.
it as young as you are, and as
Mhm.
old as you are, right?
As mature as we are.
As mature, yeah, I think that's a better term for that. So yeah, and thank you so much for reminding us about the importance of experiential application, and integration of learning as well, in order to
Mhm.
really transform, because it doesn't make sense having that training when you don't apply it or integrate it in
Mhm.
your
Yes.
actual life and work. So thank you. So that leads me to my last two questions. And this is a very interesting one, and I'm so excited to know what you will, what
Is it
will
the
be your
Mr. Universe question? The Mr. Universe?
answer, the Mr. Universe questions in this case. So if you have a magic wand that you can use and you can use it, what will you do?
Okay. So I've been hearing about magic wand since grade school, no? And,
Yes.
and the aspect about magic wand is like it's a tendency to create magic,
Mm-hmm.
and a tendency for it to transform different things. And if I have a magic wand, just like the different engineers, I would
Mm-hmm.
like to reverse engineer. I like to study that magic wand. Where is the magic coming from? Where is the thing that creates changes in the lives of people?
Mm-hmm.
And I will study and confirm whether is it
Mm-hmm.
external or is it internal? Is the
Mm-hmm.
source of change of magic coming from the external thing, or is it coming from within? So I would use the one to understand where is the power coming from, and then use that power instead of just the one, or instead of the broom, or instead of whatever source that you're going to have, is to be able to see what's the inner source of the strength that people can use and utilize, even if the magic one has already expired or it
Mm-hmm.
has lost its battery, because you know the source of recharging is within you, and use that power within you to change around the environment that you have. So that's another way of saying I won't use the magic wand. I just see the value of the power of understanding the inner source of
Mm-hmm.
change that begins. So it's more like a magic within you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as the change happens within you, changing your thoughts, changing your patterns, changing the environment around you, you don't need a magic wand to
Mm-hmm.
do that.
Power of changing the inner works, is it? Did I
Yes.
get it right? Yeah,
It's the
and
power of the inner game that
inner
brings
game.
about a game changing leverage point. Okay, so the inner game creating a game changing leverage point, a small thing that create big change that would create the outer game.
Mm-hmm.
So that the outer game, which the magic one can do, as I
Mm-hmm.
reverse engineer it, I would see what are the leverage point for magic, for
Mm-hmm.
changes, and then what's the inner core of that magic, and that's where the inner game really comes in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The inner game creating the game changing leverage point that would create the outer game as a result of what's inside you.
True.
Another way of saying it, you judge a tree by its fruit. You don't judge it from outside. You judge it from where is the root cause of that particular thing that
Mm-hmm.
would bear a lot of abundant fruit.
Yes. And again, I really appreciate you reminding us all the time about the importance of inner work. I mean, even without the magic one, I know that this is already something that you are doing, like
Mhm.
changing the inner game to change the game on such a leverage point as what you've mentioned, right? And what I'm flashing here in the summary. And again, like that's all about coaching, I would say. And we all need inner work, and I really appreciate you reminding us that we're powerful as it is, with or
Yes.
without that magic wand. It's really about like how we can actually shift that mindset that we have into our advantage. Like in each and every one of us of us would have like our own strengths and our own powers, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's really about like how can you actually leverage on your existing superpowers to be
Mhm.
able to be of service to others as well. Because like what I've read in the gene keys, I like I've mentioned in some of the interviews that I've been having, right? Like it's really amazing that when you just be
Mhm.
just being you,
Mhm.
also already blessed, like not only yourself but others, your loved ones, and the community that you are in. So that's really like wow. I just have to be me to be able to like bless others, right? Isn't that beautiful? Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
just flashing the comments again from Moses, that every leader should be able to create new leaders. Yes, that's the purpose of leaders, right? Being able to share the experience to the colleges or colleagues is very important. Most of the leaders do not share their knowledge because of fear. Oh my gosh, yes, you're right about that. Spot on that. And it's not right. Theory and practical life is so different. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and a good leader creates opportunity for themselves and to the people around them. Yes, we totally agree on that. Thank you so much for that comment again, Moses. So keep it coming. For those who are watching us live, feel free to give us your comments, feedback, questions. And as we go to the last question, which is, if you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? So since you can best answer it, why don't you please answer it for us as well?
Well, actually, I'm looking at the question, how could I be of better service to you?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my question. Actually, it's passing back the question to the person I'm talking to,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not about me, but it's about
Mm-hmm.
the other person.
Yes.
How could I best serve you, Marilyn, in this particular interview so that I could help you help other corporate executives or even organizations to be benefited from your services?
Mm-hmm.
So that is a question is, how can I be of service to others? How can I best serve you? Or
Yes.
even how could I better serve you to bring you to the next level? So so that's as
And
simple as that.
thank you for that question. I really love this question because a lot of times I would always hear people asking, so what's in it for me? Which is like a common question that most people would ask, right? But in
Yes.
I really like the question that you've asked, because this is not really about you or what you will gain from this conversation, but really on how can I serve you and the people who will actually watch this conversation, rather than what's in it for you. And that's the reason why I'm really grateful for the leaders that I've been interviewing in the last over 1 year, because they are here, um, you know, making use of the time that they cannot get back,
Hmm. Hmm.
just to be able to add value and serve others. And that's really amazing, right?
Yeah. And what you're doing, Marilyn, is you're creating a great arsenal of different pool of potential powerful tools that you'll be able to use for your corporate clients. So all over the
Exactly.
world, they're ready with you, no? Ready for the
Yes.
battle.
Yes, true. And the good thing is that with all the different perspective and experience shared through this interview, they can actually choose what will work for me. Because like what
Mhm.
Dave Ulrich shared in our interview, it's not about just the principles, it's not about the best practices or the benchmarking, but really asking yourself, what will work for you, what will work for your organization, what will work best for you, right? So kids, because it doesn't matter like how good the principles are, or like
Mhm.
this is the benchmark, but if it doesn't work for you or you can't actually apply it, then it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense as well. So yeah, and it's really like, for us, it's really asking how can we best serve others in order for them to like go to the next level, to that peak performance that they're looking forward to attain, or to that highest potential of um, getting to where they should be.
Yeah,
And we
that's
all
right.
have that. We're all blessed to have that as well. So
Mhm.
before I end my interview with you, thank you again so much. But I'll be flashing the another comment from Moses, which is, every leader stands apart from others when the person brings in a teamwork and work together to achieve the goals of the organization and bring profit for the organization is always well recognized. Every person in the organization is important,
Yeah.
and a good leader drives everyone in a positive way, in a positive direction. That's very true. Thank you so much for sharing that comment with us. And
Yeah.
that's all about the concept or the conversation that we're having right now. um, and I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Moses.
this. Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Moses, for joining us in this conversation. We love all the inputs and insights that you've also shared with us on top of what Harvey has been, sharing with us
Mhm.
already. And I really appreciate this conversation. I'm not surprised. We have we've had a lot of conversations in the past, and I've always like I always appreciate that I learn a lot from you all the time, um, in every situation, in every conversation we had, Harvey. So really, I appreciate that. Thank you for this really very deep conversation with you, very insightful as usual, and it's really helpful. Performance wise and productivity profitability wise, that will help our clients. It's all about being able to be of service to others. So I
That's
really thank you for that. And again, thank you for those who are watching us. And is there like a message that you'd like to share before we end this conversation?
Yes, Marilyn. Thank you also for inviting me here, and thank you for people like Moses to share their wisdom. And I think in line with your theme, Marilyn, of the three T's, of
Yes,
transforming and
forming
thriving together, I
together.
see it matches with my three C's. That for
Yes,
you to transform, you need good character, and you need to have competence to thrive together, and for
true.
you to be able to build community, to be able to
Yes.
build a community of culture of excellence. So it really matches
Yes,
for this.
very much. Actually, that's the theme of the previous summit that we have created, revolves around what you've said as well
Yeah.
on your three C's. So it's just very in line. So I really appreciate this conversation. So again, thank you, Harvey, and thank you for our audience for watching us. Do join us in every opportunity, so that we can create a beautiful or amazing world that we always wanted to be. Um, it's possible, like what Harvey said from the story that he shared with the PWH. So it's always possible. It's just about us working together to achieve that. And so remember that even the richest investors in the world would say that investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever make in your life. So with that, we would like to leave you with this quote from Dolly Parton, that if your action creates a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you again, Moses. And hope to see you in our next interview next week. Have a good day and stay safe, everyone.